let's talk about Wembley for a second. What are we up to? 60,000 tickets?
I believe so. That was the last thing I saw this morning. Yeah.
Okay, that means that at least 10% of the people that watch the television program in the entire United States of America, 10% of that number of people are willing to buy a ticket to see it live in England. And we've been talking about, and there's numerous reasons, including what we're hearing from the fans that are over there that have bought tickets and on Twitter and etc. The same thing, the Clash at the Castle in Cardiff. They don't get big events. They don't get landmark milestone events like this. And the first Wembley Stadium wrestling in the 35 years or whatever it is, and AEW's first time there, it was going to be a happening regardless. But now it's feeding on itself. It's hysteria. It's, the fans over there have built it up into a must be there event without knowing who the fuck or what the fuck's even going to be there. And that doesn't really happen anywhere else except with AEW. And that's kind of been their model since the start, since the All In. And this is on a much more massive scale than that was to sell 10,000 tickets here in the United States. That was a major accomplishment because they've been wrestled to death over here by every company for years and years. It's not the unusual, one-of-a-kind anomaly type of thing that it is in the UK. But now, again, we said, when's the last time ever there hasn't been one where a company's business in every facet was either staying flat or going down, but yet they suddenly do the biggest show ever in their existence? And that nobody, including WCW, when 10 times as many people were watching this shit from everybody's company, WCW was never able, with Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper and Randy Savage and a blah, blah, blah. It's because not only, as I said, the Wembley Stadium being a landmark thing and the country being, the wrestling fans over there being starved for the big events, but this is, again, a massive self-hypnosis of the crowd that we are going to will something into being the biggest goddamn thing ever because we hate the other promotions so bad. And now Vince has done them.
I don't think this one is all about that as much as the original All-In was.
Not as much as the original All-In was all about we hate, but all of this is contributing now. You've got the incredibly dedicated and hungry wrestling fans that love every company in the UK and will go see them, but they're going to see AEW because that's the big show that's coming up. You've also got the people that and now that Vince is back, it's the best boost to AEW's business to have Vince McMahon back in the WWE and as interferencing as possible, because that just stirs up the anti-WWE again. So, again, like I said earlier in the program, every time either one of these companies does something good and is moving in a positive direction, it's not necessarily the other company that does something bad to them, it's their own selves. And with the Bloodline story, everybody was into it, and then all of a sudden, it didn't end. It's still going on, but we're kind of not caring, and Vince is back. They've shot themselves in the foot over there. Meanwhile, Tony unveils the Wembley Stadium show, and conditions are right, and it's become hysteria. And I'm sorry, even for the people who love AEW, is anybody going to honestly say that because this show drew more people or sold more tickets than any other competing promotion of the WWE in history for however long, without even knowing the card, is it going to be the fact that the show was great, that the wrestlers on the card drew the house, or was it the happening and the hysteria?
See, I think it's that. And I think there is a segment that wants to support AEW, but I think it's the happening, the hysteria. I actually don't think it's really about negative or anti-WWE sentiment this time. Not that those fans there aren't going to feel that way, but I don't think that's in any way the driving force here because...
But they can't field a show. The human beings are not living on the planet Earth for them to put in the ring that will have a greater show than all the other great shows from every company before now that didn't draw this big. It's not possible.
Well, we'll see what they put on that show, but I mean, if they did it right and had the right matches, they could have some really memorable main event matches on the show.
Well, yes. But I mean,
if they're going to have the usual undercard of shit, I mean, that's just what AEW does.
Well, they're going to have what they usually have. And again, it doesn't matter to their fans what they have. And I guess that's what I'm saying. This is the first time in history that a company can do something like this without anything about the product being good or moving in a positive direction. And the people don't even know what the fuck's going to be on the card.
Won't it be funny if we find out Vince McMahon bought all these tickets and no one's there?
Well, he spent $20 million for pussy, so he might spend $6 or $7 million to put an empty arena in the competition's backyard. But anyway, that's just... I mean, even if you are a fan of AEW and think, oh, well, you know, the Buckaroos are great, nobody can believe that this product, this promotion, or this card is or will be better than anything else that's ever been done. They've again hit the right place at the right time with the right fucking thing to cause hysteria, and people now have to be there just because so many other people are going to be there.
Smaller example, but the first time they ran Arthur Ashe, major crowd. The second time, big crowd, not as big. This is their first time in England. They're doing it at the biggest arena there. The question's really going to be, again, not to take away, this is a major accomplishment.
That's not doing, well, again, like you said, that's not knocking them, and that's not doing anything other than stating facts. No promotion in the modern era does a big debut show in any market anywhere and comes back and outdraws it the second time because it's not the first time anymore. Instead of the first time ever, it's the first time ever in the last 4 months. So that's different. Go ahead.
Should this change the strategy for people going forward, whether it's Tony or WWE, or if someone else gets in the picture who's a billionaire and well-funded, the idea that you can create these events, get people in the door, and fill the card in later? I mean, the idea that you could book this big show the first time you go into a town, should they now just book the biggest arena? And just wipe it out the first night and then see what happens the second time a year later?
Well, here's the thing. WWE can't go to any towns for the first time anymore. So that unless it's international. And even then it's going to be tough.
Good point.
AEW, domestically, just because they're opening up a new market, they're regularly in this country, and the Americans don't view each individual wrestling event like the folks in the UK do because they don't get as many of them. So no, out of one company, they could do this again the first time they go to Australia or so. I don't fucking know, but it reminds me, I've told you that time before when TNA, when I was there in 2006, they were going to England. I think they drew 6,000 or 8,000 people there. TNA, for fuck's sake. And the advance was huge. And I was sitting there talking to Jackie Moore, Miss Texas. And, you know, she was going on the trip. We're looking at the booking sheets and all the travel information, and everything. And I said, Jackie, did you ever think it would come to this, that we would kill the business in the U.S. so bad that we'd have to go to England to draw a decent house? And she said, no. Never thought that. And I said, well, I got faith, though. And she said, what? You got faith we'll bring it back? I said, no, I got faith they'll kill England, too. But apparently they haven't yet. They might do it with this one, though. This might be the last straw.
Well, Impact's still working on this country. Once they kill this country, they'll get to England.
Well, I think that fortunately they've been disarmed. It's like a pocket knife now. They might be able to get a few people close by, but it's not like they're going to be able to take out the whole country. Anyway, so that's meanwhile, while fewer people than ever watch the program here in this country, more people than ever before have bought tickets to see him in England.